napkins and pals, and there's also therapy too.
All right, people, look alive. It's William Henry Harrison Day. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Honestly, in some ways, the episode that started it all, that started the Ron and Leslie coming back together moment, as we'll see at the end of the episode. So, okay, a quick follow-up from our last episode. Reminder that we talked to Kevin Simons, who is Dexhart, Councilman Dexhart, and I had reached out to him just to say thank you and see if he had any memories, and he was very sweet and messaged back, and he said he doesn't really recall any memories of that day, except it was always such a joy being on set. I'm just reading his email. At the time, I believe everyone knew the show was in its final season, and I was so thrilled to be asked to do an episode. At least I got one in the final season, which is, amazing. As I told you, I am so grateful to have been a part of Parks. It truly changed my life and career. We're living in Greenville, South Carolina now, and I can't believe how many people come up to me every week and say how much they love the show. That usually happens just before they ask, what the hell are you doing in Greenville? I recently read Jim O'Hare's wonderful book on Parks, and it brought back so many memories, and I told him how much I loved it. Anyway, I want to thank you for asking me to be a part of your fabulous podcast, all caps fabulous. I had so much fun. I wish you all the best, and please keep in touch. So thank you, Kevin, for emailing back. That was so nice. And I'm, like I said, I could talk about it forever, how grateful I am that these people reached out. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. All right. So season 7, episode 3, William Henry Harrison. And as you can tell, Maddie is not with me today. She had some prior engagements, but we will hear some notes and summary from her a little bit later after we get going with the writer and director. So our original air date for January 20th, 2015, or not original air date for, but our original air date for William Henry Harrison was, January 20th, 2015, written by Megan Amram. Friendly reminder, Megan is one half of the couple that is interested in buying Ron's cabin, the one that freaks out when April says Ben Gibbard lived there or visited there. She's written 5 episodes total, which is incredible, including Ron and Diane, Animal Control, Anniversaries, Flu Season 2, and this will be her last episode. So some great episodes she has under her belt. Amazing. And also a friendly reminder that she worked on The Good Place, Silicon Valley, Pitch Perfect, Bumper in Berlin, A Man on the Inside with Ted Danson. So amazing work, and kind of rounding out how amazing this, crew of people, this comedy crew. So cool that she was able to kind of be well-rounded in the shows that she worked on. This was directed by Tom McGill, who was one of our camera operators from season 1 through 4. And he worked with Shauna Hagen, who we interviewed and who we love. We love Shauna so much. She's so kind and is always so nice to us as far as, sharing information with us. She didn't work the full series. She was more so, I think it was like the earlier seasons, maybe until season 4 or something. But she is doing amazing, and I always talk about her. If you haven't watched Somebody Somewhere on HBO Max, oh my gosh, you guys got to watch it. It's so good. It's won a couple of Emmys actually as well. So, and the cast is amazing too. So yeah, go ahead and watch that. Shauna is the DP on that. Amazing. But anyhow, Tom McGill, who directed this, was the A camera operator, and she was the B camera operator. And he was the DP on a couple episodes in season 1 and 2, but season 5 through 7, he became the DP, like officially. So fun. So he's been with the show the whole time. And this episode is his only directing credit for Parks, but he's been, like I said, he's been with the show the whole time. So exciting. And he also was the DP / held other crew and cinematography type roles for Wine Country, which is Amy Poehler and all the other amazing cast that's in that movie. And he also worked with Amy on Moxie, the movie that Amy, I believe, was directed, perhaps, but she was also in. And he also worked on Angie Tribeca, working with Rashida. I mean, he's worked on Rutherford Falls with Ed Helms. He also now currently works on Abbott Elementary, which if you haven't seen, that's on Hulu, so catch up on that. But I mean, so great, and love all of these amazing shows that he's a part of, and his roster, and Megan Amram's roster, the writer, is incredible. So really great team in this last season. Oh my gosh. And with Tom, I have exchanged emails with him, but it just hasn't worked out so far. He's super busy, as you can tell. And so I'll reach out again, maybe as we get closer to the end of the season, because like I said, he's been a part of this season and series the whole time. So it's not just this episode that he could contribute, information or BTS with. But yeah, I hope to hear from him, because he has messaged back a couple times, like I said, but he just we haven't made it work to where, he's able to come on the show or exchange details and things like that. And the last couple times he hasn't responded back. Like I said, he's just busy. So it's okay. But I am very grateful for all of them. So, all right, let's move on. We've got Megan and Tom as the writer-director. Great team here. And we did want to check and see if these episodes aired two at a time, if the directors would be the same for each two episodes, because Dean Holland directed the first two episodes. And that is not totally true. They may have done that on purpose to start the season, but the way that the show or this season ends up going, that does not stay true. That streak is broken here because Tom McGill directed this one, and the next one is directed by Beth McCarthy Miller, who we also love, and I'll do another breakdown on her when we get to that episode. But it has not proven true that each two episodes are directed by the same person just because they were aired at the same time. So they might not have even known. If I'm honest, I wonder if they even knew that was how it was going to go. You know what I mean? I think they probably did. Probably did, because that's, why they shot all of it so fast, if you will. But yeah, so just a heads up on that as a follow-up from last episode. Okay, so I have summary written in my notes here, so let's go ahead and take a listen to what Maddie has to say.
Hey Park Pals, I'm sorry to be missing this week's episode, but I'm here to give you a summary and some quick notes on William Henry Harrison. Leslie is looking for ways to preserve the Newport land from commercial use. The Grizzle team of Ron, Tom, and Donna look for a celebrity to help make sure they win the bid for the land. Jerry helps Ben get forms signed and notarized, and Andy helps April think of what her next job could be. I have to say that I love that Hale Zorp comes back in the beginning of this episode in the cold open. The comment that Elton John bought Chick-fil-A kills me, and I love it. The Museum for William Henry Harrison is a lot and so little at the same time. Not super detailed notes there, but just kind of my initial reactions. The juxtaposition between who Ron is talking to versus who Leslie is working with to try to make something come together is very interesting. And it's also very interesting how, not like Ron, his celebrity is. And it's just, very interesting seeing him kind of conform to these things he wouldn't typically want to be interacting with. And they do a great job of carrying that over from Grizzle into the celebrity piece of this episode. When Tom and Donna clap for beef milk, this cracks me up, and Ron says it's fucking milk, is priceless and wonderful. I feel like we have a lot of stuff like this that happens in our society now, where it's like, how are you charging that for that? And there are some made up ways of why it's special. Great commentary on what's going on now. I had to question, and I didn't know if you would know, Holly, from your research, why does Ron have to sign it? You'd think that Leslie's running the bid, right? So I get why she's signing it, but if Grizzle's going to own the land, wouldn't it be Jorma that would be signing it? Yeah, that's my question there. And the guy they meet with at the beginning, I can't remember his character name. I love Andy saying helping April think through her job. I think this is some of the best advice I've gotten, is that don't think about what the job is. Don't think about things that you like. Think about why you like them. And I think that's just a really cool way to think about it. Think about, what are the parts of your job that you really enjoy doing? What are the things that you don't? What are the things that you feel like you're really good at in your current job? And it's going to give you a lot broader of options. So I just loved that he had this wise moment for her to towards the end of this episode. And just really sweet that we're getting to see him lean into supporting her and finding her next endeavor, just like she helped him find Johnny Karate.
Yay! Yeah, there's a lot of great things in there. We're going to cover a lot of that. The question, though, is you bring up a good point. I to be honest, I don't know why Ron has to sign it and not Jorma's character. Jorma is the VP of Cool Shiz at Grizzle, which I have a whole little like note on that later. But what I'm guessing is that Ron is working with Grizzle as kind of like a POA, power of attorney, in a way where he can sign for Grizzle. And since he's the one that's in charge of all of this, that, and it is a little confusing because when it's first introduced in the first episode of this season, you think that he's just the contractor, just the builder. But I think he has a bigger role in this, at least from what we're seeing as the audience, than just the contractor. I think that he is probably like the business manager proposal liaison, if you will. And the way that Jorma is talking to Ron or speaking to Ron, it sounds like Jorma has the ideas and, or Roscoe is his character name, has the ideas and Ron has to follow through on it and actually do the thing. So he's like the actual, project manager, I guess, or is Jorma the project manager? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that he has a bigger role. So I think that he probably has, the capability to sign on Grizzle's behalf, if that makes sense. So that's probably what I'm going to say is the reason why he's able to sign for it. But good point. And also, with the show and everything, it's a way to get Ron and Leslie together. So, yeah, but I think it makes sense that he would be the leader and has a bit more of a leadership role / I don't even know what the word is. Just like he has more responsibilities than he's letting on as more than just the contractor. But that's how I'm making sense of it. Okay, moving on. So we start this episode with Leslie meeting with people on why the Newport land / residence should be preserved. Like Maddie said, we find out that these two guys are from the Church of Reasonabilists. They have been brought up a lot throughout the series. It's amazing. One of the guys is a 9th level octopriest. Oh my gosh, that's great writing. Love that. And the second guy turns around the visual aid that they brought, and it's of a lizard god that they worship. And they say that the Newport land is the place where all human souls will be transmuted when Zorp the lizard god passes through Jupiter's sphincter. Whatever the hell that means. I did not even research what that means. Oh my God. And this is, of course, making fun of a certain religion that is in Hollywood, that many Hollywood people and globally is revered, weirdly and insanely. So then we get another guy presenting his case about how there's not enough ants and we need to preserve the land, basically, but we have 200,000 years till the ants are all gone. But he's acting like it's a super crazy, fast event that's going to happen that's very, immediate. And it's not, which I love Leslie's line of like, that doesn't seem like an immediate crisis. So this actor is named Gary Carlos Cervantes, and his character is Manrico de la Rosa. And you'll remember him if you are a fan of the show, which I would think that you are, that he actually ran against Leslie for city council. He was the animal activist in the debate episode that really wants to save all the animals, and that's what his whole platform was on. And that is so sweet that they brought him back and kept that character note about his love and preservation of animals. I love that. And then the first guy, or the first two guys, I should say, the Hail Zorp people. Oh my God. The first guy is Patrick Coleman Duncan. This is the actor's name. His character name is Marty Zurch, and he has been in a ton of things. Looks like a lot of shorts that he worked on as both a production assistant and writer as well. So a lot of cool roles and types of jobs that he's had. Super fun. And then the dark-haired guy, with the one that turns around the visual aid of the lizard god, is Dan Gilvezan, the actor, and his character name is Andover Muse. Andover first name, Muse, M-U-S-E, last name, love. He's done a ton of stuff. Looks like a lot of voiceover work, a lot of Spider-Man, Transformers for video games, VO, and he was in an episode of The Morning Show, Shameless. He has a lot of stuff on his resume too. I just picked out some things that I thought that some of you guys would recognize. But yeah, they've both done a ton of work, and they were so great together. Such like weirdos coming in. And Hail Zorp, when April says Hail Zorp, like the immediate reaction of Hail Zorp as a response was so good and so funny. And Dan sent us some amazing voice memos. Well, actually, it's just one. But yes, thank you, Dan. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Okay, hi ladies. This is Dan Gilvezan answering your questions about my appearance on Parks and Recreation. Yeah, I was a fan of Parks and Recreation. I watched it every week. I loved the show. I auditioned for it, and I think it was about 2 weeks later. It was at the hardware store, I remember, and I got a call from my agent and said, "Well, you got Parks and Recreation," and I thought, "Oh, great," because it was a really cute little scene. It was the teaser at the top of the show. And it was funny, and I thought I could do some stuff with it, so I was happy. As far as my day on the set goes, when I got to the set, your sides, or rather your part of the script, is in your dressing room. And I found out that they had taken the part that I had auditioned for and split it into two people and had given all of my lines to the other guy. So I wasn't really happy about that. The only thing I got to say was, "Hail Zorp." So what I decided to do was really goof myself up, and if you look really closely, you'll see it. I had a pair of really goofy buck teeth that I that I had from another show from way in the past. I put those on. I combed my hair forward, and I tried to be just as geeky. And I think I wore a big pair of glasses too, because I thought it would make myself really geeky if I had to just sit there and not do anything. The one thing I was proudest of was the gesture I made when he talks about going through the anus of the universe or whatever it is. I did a kind of a thing with my hand, and I was proud of that moment. As far as the other actors, they were all great. I mean, the set was really nice. It was fun. There was no pressure. All the leads were great. I remember specifically, this was just after Chris had done Guardians of the Galaxy, and it just came out, and it was a huge hit. And I was coming out of the dressing room as he was coming in, and I stopped him. I said, "Hey, man, I just wanted to thank you, or not thank you, but I wanted to congratulate you on the success of this thing. This is great." He said, "Yeah, I'm really happy." I said, "Yeah, well, you should be." And so I remember that specifically. I don't think I have anything else to tell you. I'm mostly retired at this point. I do a lot of other stuff. I work for Hasbro, and I do a lot of voice work and that sort of thing. You can find me on all the social media platforms, Instagram and whatever. And I guess that's about it. Thanks for listening to me rant about this. And I hope to see you sometime in the Parks and Recreation heaven that we will all go to. Amen.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. First of all, I've never heard it phrased that way. Parks and Rec heaven that we will all go to. You know what? That makes me so happy. I have never thought of it like that. And I am, wow, a little bit speechless because that's going to be amazing. Wow, Dan. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. First of all, I love hearing that you were in the hardware store when this all happened, because I just love hearing that people remember exactly where they were when they got the call. In fact, I remember Brady Smith, who plays Grant Larson, talking about how he was picking up his dog's poop when he got the call from his agent that he was going to be Grant Larson on Parks and Rec. And I think that is so amazing and funny, and yeah, cool to hear about the behind the scenes of where your brain was and how much your brain remembers when it's something interesting and cool like that and meaningful in your life. Love that. So you were at the hardware store. Love that. I love this BTS knowing about the splitting it into two people. I had no idea about that. So fascinating. I wonder how that came about. I like that there's two people, but yeah, they could have split up the line so that it was a little bit more even, so that each person had, not just for, the actors to have a moment, but because I know that at the end of the day, that doesn't like make or break something, but it's more so for me personally, it would be to show that there's so many Zorp, loyalists, if you will, and so that the two people could be equally excited about it. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, and I definitely remember the glasses. I definitely remember the nerdy things. I will have to go back and look for the teeth because I did not see that. And I definitely remember the hand gesture that you did about the sphincter. I definitely remember that. And I also remember, I said this already, but I do remember the turning around the visual aid that you brought. That I don't know why, but that stuck out to me too, because you could definitely tell that you were very interested in the visual aid that you brought, and you were very serious about it. And especially how the seriousness of turning it around and making that a real poignant moment. with the absurdity of that picture of the lizard god was fantastic. So love that. And yeah, I love that you do voice work. We did talk about that a little bit already before, so I'm glad that you're kind of mostly still doing that. But I love that, you know, you're retired for yourself if that's what you want to do, man. Like, that's awesome. Wow, really great information in those 3 minutes that you gave us. And I'm so happy that you gave us that voice memo. That's, I will see you in Parks Heaven or hell, wherever we're going. No, but I think there's a place in Parks Heaven, or a hole with waffles and honey, and oh my gosh, amazing. Although I did hear that Amy Poehler doesn't actually love waffles as much as Leslie does, which is quite a disappointment, but that doesn't mean that there won't be waffles there. You know what I mean? There'll be lots of foods, all from JJ's. Okay. Oh my gosh. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for everything. I just can't get over the Parks Heaven and hell, because there are definitely characters that could go to Parks Hell. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, thank you so much, Dan. This was so fun to hear from you. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, everybody go follow him. I'll post his Instagram in our show notes and tag him on Instagram and everything too. But yeah, love hearing all of that. Thank you so much. And then we've got Herman Lurpus, of course. Oh my gosh, our famous Herman Lurpus. And he has a whole other idea for the land. And I'm so glad that they brought him back too, because we talked about him last episode, yeah, I believe, because Lurpus family, as a reminder, if you're new here, the Lurpus family is, you know, a legend in Pawnee. And last episode, the mortuary was was Lurpus Mortuaries. That's just what it's called. They also own the gas station. Oh my gosh, not gas station, although I'm sure they own that too. But they own the trucks, the trash trucks that April and Leslie were trying to prove that the women should be hired, that kind of thing. So yeah, so this is Herman. I don't know if he runs the pawn shop. So I don't know if in my mind, I've made it up that I think that he's the rich person, and he's, but he could also be really just crazy. I don't know. But anyhow, he comes back and he has a whole other idea for the land. The visual aid looks like a child drew it, and I love it. He thinks it should be an amusement park. I call it Disneyland, and he puts the emphasis on knee, like Disneyland. Oh my God. I love that Leslie's first question is, how did you get in here? Not like Disney already exists, this is already a thing, but how did you get in here? And he immediately broke a window. I love that very much, that he is just not even pausing, just no hesitancy there at all. And I mean, okay, so I will say, I had a note here that I will say, I know Herman is crazy, but a theme park might be good, you know, for the economy. You could have a special nature park within the theme park for Leslie's purposes. I know that's not quite what she wants and what she's thinking, but it could be good. Like, I was thinking about Dollywood and how that brought a lot of jobs and economic, stability and things like that to the area. So that could work. And there's still a lot of like preservation in the land around there, but I understand it's not the same. But I feel like it's not the worst idea, Herman. Interesting that I'm, giving him a shout out for it being not a bad idea. Okay, so now we're at the Grizzle campus and we're meeting Roscoe, the vice president of Cool New Shiz. Oh my gosh, so much is happening in this 5-second intro to him. I mean, truly, the detail is incredible. So first of all, he's on his walking pad, which is so huge nowadays, but it was just getting started then, where it was like, I think during that time was when people were saying sitting is the new smoking, like you want to be standing, you want to be walking while you're working, a very like eco-friendly vibes. Yeah. And tech being even more involved, and how exercise is like better for the brain, whatever. Anyway, which is true, but he's still douchey while he does it. And anyway, so we see a picture of him saying that he's the vice president of Cool New Shiz in his own office. That's another part of this intro that I'm cracking up at, because it's just a picture of himself, like in front of him, like the picture is facing how he's walking, so he's looking at himself while he's walking as an inspiration, which honestly I guess that's sort of Leslie vibes, because Leslie has her own face in her office at one point and she was like, I'm big enough to admit that I inspire myself sometimes. However, Leslie had other pictures of other people too. It wasn't just her. So Roscoe should probably add some other people in to not be as douchey, but that's not him. You know what I'm saying? So great character detail there. And then in this picture, we get his name, where his last name is Santangelo, first name Roscoe Santangelo. I kind of love that. I think it's up there with Dan Candle, the mortuary worker. Oh my gosh, love that. And just the title of VP of Cool New Shiz, not the company itself. You're not the VP of Grizzle itself, but just the VP of Cool New Shiz, ? Like that's a particular department. Oh my God, it's so good. I love it so much. And obviously, we did a breakdown on Jorma a while ago because he's directed 2 episodes of Parks previously. But just a reminder, you know him from The Lonely Island on SNL. They also have a podcast out with Seth Meyers talking about The Lonely Island that I need to listen to. Let me know if you've heard of that or heard any of the episodes because I'd love to listen. He was also a writer on SNL before Lonely Island and a writer on a ton of other amazing things too. And he's, like I said, he's directed for Parks 2 episodes, the Treaty episode and Gin It Up, which was season 4 and 6 respectively. I also remember him from Girls. Oh my gosh, he was really funny in that. He's super talented, super cool. Obviously so many Andy Samberg things, Hot Rod, all that kind of stuff. Never Stop Stopping or whatever that pop star movie is. And of course with Ativa, I believe his name is Ativa, the third guy who is also amazing and so funny. But yeah, Jorma's a great choice for Roscoe. I think that Jorma did a fantastic job here of being both douchey and also like with the growth of a tech company, like, you know, kind of a little bit entitled, but also a tiny bit smart too. You know what I mean? Got that layered going on. Anyway, they're on their workout balls as the seats in his office, again, with this whole like eco, well-rounded body mind set situation. And he's like, feel free to break out your vapes, which I thought was so funny because he's on his walking pad. What an oxymoron that you're exercising and then you say to break out your vapes. No, I will say at this time, I do believe that vapes were like the alternative to cigarettes. And we have since learned, / I think we even knew it then, but we've learned even more now that vapes are terrible as well. You should not be vaping. It ruins your whole mouth, face, body, everything. So do not be vaping out here, okay? But he's trying to be cool and create this whole vibe. So he says to break out your vapes. Yikes. And then we learn that they know Leslie has been meeting with people to sexy up her presentation and find a reason to preserve the land. So their counterattack is to get a celebrity to strengthen their bid. Oh my gosh. I love this whole little moment of the language interpretation that Tom has to give to Ron because of all the different shortened words and acronyms and all these things. Britty. I actually love that. I'm kind of surprised that we have not, love is a strong word. I think that's a good idea, ? And I'm also surprised that we haven't used that in our everyday language. A Britty. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's because it's too close to Brita, like the filter, the water filter. But I think we should start saying Britty for celebrity. Just saying. I think that's a great idea, Parks people / Jorma. Okay. So love that Tom is translating this, which is very relatable these days with all of the different, random words that Gen Z uses. Yeah. Love that. I just learned / still can't get over that the whole like you're eating thing. It's grown on me. It's grown on me a lot. When I first heard it, I was like, that's weird. I'm eating? No. But then it's grown on me. I like it. I ate, left no crumbs. I do like that. I'm not mad about it anymore. I also love the Cheerio / cereal dispenser on his desk. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And yeah, again, they've really rounded out the tech vibe of like Silicon Valley. That's kind of what we talked about in Modern Family. They do this as well with Ezra Vision, like this open workflow space kind of vibes. And Ron is like, do we really need a celebrity? Like, I just don't want the flash. And he says he doesn't sign in cursive because he prefers quality over flash. That's so funny that he thinks cursive is flashy, which, by the way, they don't even teach cursive in schools anymore. Did you guys know that? Wild. And what a change to hear him say this, to start here and then to see where we end up going, where it's all flash. Yeah, not great. This is where Maddie has the line that she really liked, where Donna says a celebrity could help Ron. Like, Chick-fil-A sales went through the roof once Elton John bought them. That did not happen, by the way. And yeah, that would have helped. Honestly, that would have been great because famously, Chick-fil-A is very Christian, very conservative, and does not support gay rights. So if Elton John bought them, yeah, I probably would go there, and I probably would have a little bit more of a reason to go there. But then, you'd probably lose the Christian people. But maybe not, because Elton John is kind of like Dolly in the sense that he transcends the aisle. You know what I mean? He can be on both, or he has fans from both, regardless of what you say. You know what I'm saying? He's talented. So yeah, I try my best not to support Chick-fil-A if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I would love if Elton John had them. That prediction did not come true. So maybe they really aren't wizards. But they knew Elton John wasn't going to buy Chick-fil-A. Come on. That was totally on purpose. They are wizards. I take it back. Okay. So Grizzle makes a good point when Jorma says, Grizzle's out of towners. Like, people don't necessarily trust us. So we need someone who, like a local celebrity, who would give them ease with the community and make them a little bit more relatable / better for the town, and who they can start to trust Grizzle. And Ron is like, I don't want to do that because I just don't like celebrities. Okay. These are the celebrities that he likes. Number 1, Gary Knox Bennett of the 16 penny nail cabinet, and Magnus, the elk. I did a whole breakdown on Gary Knox Bennett. You know that I did, because every time Ron brings up an architect, a woodworker, anyone that he really respects, they are real. I think there's only been maybe one, if that. I don't know that there's ever been a woodworker that was not an actual woodworker. When Ron says, someone that he is respectful of. So Gary Knox Bennett is famous for making the 16 penny nail cabinet, which I'll get into later, but he is in fact a real woodworker. No surprise, as we learn that pretty much everyone Ron mentions is real. He's a woodworker, furniture maker, and he's also a metal worker as well. Sad news though, he passed away in 2022 on January 28th, which, like, oh my gosh, I hope he knew he was being mentioned here and was so revered by Nick. Probably Nick Offerman probably really did love him, and Ron. He has really made an impact, I think, which we'll get into. So he has a huge beard and mustache as well. So I'll have to post a picture of it, but it's very Ron-like, and Ron and him would be best buds. I feel they'd be like brothers. So I'm sure there was inspiration there as well. And he has some really cool, intricate things that he made and designed. I'll post the website that I found talking about him because, wow, there's a ton of cool things. And he's also famous for making peace sign jewelry. I think that was in his metalworking phase, where he did a lot of jewelry during the time of the 1960s, like flower power time frame. And then it was outlawed because you couldn't make, like, war paraphernalia, or it was like you couldn't make paraphernalia like about different sides during the war on drugs, and so he had to stop making it, which is so bizarre. But he did become very famous for those peace signs that he made, which is really cool. And I do wonder, like, how many people still probably have a peace sign that he made, or that he was at least famous for the manufacturing of. You know what I'm saying? So I found this blurb about the nail cabinet that Ron mentions that he's famous for, that, Gary is famous for. One of Bennett's most famous pieces is the nail cabinet, 1979, a finely crafted paddock cabinet. Paddock is the type of wood, into which he drove a large nail, challenging the preciousness often associated with fine woodworking. In 1979, after finishing a highly sophisticated paddock wood and glass cabinet for a gallery show, he drove a 16-penny nail into the cabinet's richly polished door and subsequently bent the nail into the surface. He managed to offend a number of collegial sensibilities with this act. His response was that he wanted to make a statement that I thought people were getting a little too goddamn precious with their technique. I think trick joinery is just to show, in most instances that you can do tricky joinery. Which, my God, that is such a Ron quote. Can you imagine? Absolutely. Or Nick, really. They'd be like, they're getting too fucking precious with this. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, make the fucking shit that you want to make. and stop being so precious. And I just love that. I think, and I'll post a picture and I'll post all of these amazing, websites that you can read about him and his legacy and all that stuff. And so I know my dumbass was not knowing anything about cabinetry and everything, was like, so you could put like, and the way that it looks too, I'm so sorry. It's called a 16 penny nail cabinet. I know I'm showing my total ignorance here, but the way that it looks really does look like a tiny little drawers. And I'm like, do you put 16 pennies in the cabinet? Like, what? Why is it called that? But that's a type of nail, and we all are learners here. Okay, so hold your judgment on that. But yeah, amazing. And so, yeah, rest in peace, Gary Knox Bennett. We love. And then, yes, Magnus, the celebrity, that's also the second celebrity to Ron, the 5x5 bull elk he tried to catch. So Andy is trying to help April with jobs she likes, and April's a little defeated, like, whatever, just give up, like, don't try to help. There's a whole deleted scene here where she really, like, kind of gets so frustrated. She's not yelling at Andy, but she's like, just stop trying to help me. Like, I don't love everything that you love, and I don't love everything at all, or anything at all, except for like 2 things. And so just stop. And she walks away. And I'm kind of glad they cut that, because you already sense the frustration. We don't need like the tension between them two. You know what I'm saying? But I do love this game that Andy comes up with, where he's like, you say a word, I say a word, and we'll see if it makes a profession. And all he can think of is trampoline, executive, trampoline, computer, trampoline. And then she says trampoline. And he's like, pass. So Ben comes in and says he needs both Ron and Leslie to sign this point of sale document. And I had this question where I was like, why do they need to be in the same room? Like, why can't they just sign separately? That's dumb. But then we learned that it's because it has to be notarized, and he doesn't want to schedule 2 notary appointments. But in my head, I was like, come on, that's fine. Just schedule 2 notary appointments, because you know that she's not going to be in the same room with him just to sign this dumb document. You know what I'm saying? And it does cost, typically, I mean, I'm sure the government's paying for it, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they would. Because it's, this national land or whatever, is it federal land, state land, whatever. I think the government would be paying for the notary appointment. However, yeah, it does cost money each time, is what I'm saying. So that doesn't really give an excuse as to why you wouldn't want to schedule 2 appointments. I think Ben's just over it, though. And he's like, can we please just like not have this be a part of my day? And since it's Jerry, Larry, Terry that we are getting this notarized by, I'm sure he's not even getting paid. It's like, that'll just be his like normal salary. Because what I mean by that is that a lot of notaries do get paid a specific rate to notarize a document. But with Gary Terry, he's probably just, it's just a part of his normal salary. I don't think he's getting like an extra fee for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's not even an excuse, and I could probably cut all that out. So sorry. Moving on, Leslie says she'll only be in the same room with Ron if it was during a police lineup when she's pointing him out as the man who betrayed her. And then we learn that Gary Larry Terry is a notary. He can help out. And he just kind of sidetracks and under the breath, like slips on by that he had a couple weeks in the hospital. Like, what? Are you okay? That's bad. And Andy is like, the story is so boring already. So terrible after you learn that someone's been in the hospital for that long. But because he was in the hospital, he wanted to fulfill his lifelong dream. Because when you're in the hospital, you start to think about stuff. And his lifelong dream was to become a notary. Oh my gosh, so funny to me that like how random and detailed and boring to be a notary, but also so interesting in the same way as a character detail for him. I love that. It was so perfect. So Ben says that Leslie's acting like a little kid. Like, how long are you going to go on like this? And I love that she responds with like infinity plus 1 year. Proving his point, obviously. All right, so Tom is going over which celebrities to get for the collaboration with Grizzle. We've got Perd on the list. We've got the douche. We've got Tom Haverford. What? I mean, I don't know if I'd consider myself a celebrity. Oh my gosh. Tom, you got to stop with this nonsense, okay? Come on. We're trying to get some work done. But I get it. That is funny. And then Annabelle Porter from Bloosh is the biggest fish. That's who we should really go with. She's at the top of the list, but Ron hates Bloosh. And we've already had a run-in with Bloosh before when Ron made the chair. So he knows what that's about, and he is not about it. He's like, I don't really want to do that. He already doesn't want a celebrity. So to have someone that does all this like meaningless BS is like, I don't want that. But then again, Donna is like, they're a big deal. They could really help us. Any celebrity could help us, but especially Annabelle Porter. She might be doing something. They won the Pulitzer for Best Top 10 Listicle. Oh my gosh, that is so funny and so detailed. Again, it's like such a tiny little niche comment that you don't really think about until, I'm researching it. So listicle is in fact a real word. It is a list, and it's the definition is that it's structured as a bulleted or numbered list. So anytime you make a bulleted or numbered list, you are making a listicle. So you can start calling it listicle now. Okay. So just a heads up, all your friends will hate you, but go ahead and start calling it listicle. And this is another prediction that along with the Elton John thing and Chick-fil-A, that the Pulitzer does not have a section to win for listicle, although I'm kind of surprised that we haven't yet. Honestly, that prediction could still come true later. So who's to say at the end of the day? I wouldn't put it past our future selves to do that, especially with corporate world. And it could even be, what does the list achieve? Because if it achieved a certain thing, curing a disease or maybe some artistic thing of like you're writing out your process. I don't know. I can't put it past our future selves to not have a Pulitzer for a listicle. All right. So now we're meeting with Leslie. Leslie is meeting with Bill Haggerty. Yay for him coming back. His last episode is this one, which is so sad, but also great because I'm so happy that they brought him back because he's from the Pawnee Historical Society. He says the Newport land has information regarding William Henry Harrison. Oh my gosh, big deal, big get to Leslie anyway. And friendly reminder that Bill Haggerty is this actor. The character, Bill Haggerty is the name of the character rather, and he is played by the actor Mitchell Hamilton. Mitchell did a great job, and sadly he passed away in 2021. I did mention this in his first episode. But yeah, he was in so many things, left a huge, amazing legacy. He was in Mom, The Mick, Superstore, Modern Family, some Nickelodeon shows, like he was famous for Ned's Declassified, a lot more. And he was so good at this as this character, so excited, so nerdy, so historical, like interested in history, especially Pawnee's history and Indiana's history. His first time, as a reminder, was in 94 Meetings back in season 2. Oh my gosh, amazing that they brought him back. But that's when he talks to Leslie about saving the gazebo. And they're going to tear down the gazebo, and she has to, because she's helping Ron take over those 94 meetings that April accidentally scheduled. And this is when she ties herself to the gate. And pretty amazing that they remembered that and are bringing him back for this episode, just building on his previous character, just like with the ant guy, with the animal activist fella who they were talking to at the beginning of this episode, like Leslie's need/want to find something to preserve this land, and how they keep kind of coming up with these ideas to bring people back and really build on what we've already created, but in a more intricate and funny way. It's amazing. Okay, so all right, I did a little breakdown on William Henry Harrison, as you knew I would probably do. He was the first governor of the Indiana Territories in 1800, and then he was the president of U.S. He caught a cold and died 32 days later, is what Leslie says. Now, this is true, except historians say it was probably pneumonia, not just a common cold. So I don't know if that helps you guys, because pneumonia is, a common cold. It can definitely progress into pneumonia, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it makes me be mad at him a tiny bit less, because pneumonia is very serious. However, I looked it up, and a quote from battlefields.org says, just let me read this: "The day of Harrison's inauguration, March 4th, 1841, was wet and cold. The president-elect, however, opted to forego an overcoat or top hat. His inaugural address totaled 8,445 words and took nearly 2 hours to deliver. 3 weeks later, after another extended outing in the rain, he developed pneumonia and later severe diarrhea." He died April 4th, just after 31 days in office. Though historians long attributed his death to pneumonia, recent scholarship suggests that the White House's drinking water was contaminated by public sewage and that Harrison likely died from septic shock. Regardless of the cause, his death made Harrison's presidential term the shortest in American history. His grandson, Benjamin, went on to become the 23rd president of the United States. So we don't know. Pneumonia or septic shock, or both, but not a great way to go, it sounds like. And you know what? It was quite dysentery was a way for a lot of people to die back in the day, because we didn't have like sanitary ways of handling sewage and waste. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that could have been a reason. But it sounds like he had a really long political career before that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just that can't just be his legacy, although it is a big part of it, don't get me wrong. But he did fight in the War of 1812. Like I said, he was the Indiana governor. He also, side note, he was born in Virginia, so I guess I have that in common with him. So that's William Henry Harrison. We'll get into a little bit more about the museum and stuff a little bit later on. But so Bill wrote a book about William Henry Harrison and found that he had a hunting lodge on the Newport land. So maybe they can get it to be deemed/named historical landmark status as a protection. Now, from the National Park Service website, I did look up, if you were to want something to be historical landmark status, how would you go about doing that? And I will post this website as well as the battlefields.org website about William Henry Harrison in the show notes if you are interested. But the National Register nomination process usually starts with your State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO. That's the office that you're going to go to or look up for if you want to preserve something to be a national landmark. So you'd contact that office, check their webpage for National Register information. You need research materials, you need the necessary forms. Again, back to April's thing of like everything's just paperwork, which is true. And you have to begin the nomination process. If the property is on federal or tribal land, the process starts with the Federal Preservation Office or the Tribal Historic Preservation Office. And the website does say that to qualify, they do need to look at the age. Usually it has to be at least 50 years old. They look at the significance of the property. They look at, does it look the way that it looked in the past? Which is why Leslie is like, no, we cannot use this because there's literally nothing left. There's like a couple bricks. And one of the requirements to be a national landmark is for it to look very similar, or at least similar enough that you could recognize what it was back then as you could today. And so that is why when she sees this lodge, she's like, this is nothing. This is bullshit. What do we even do with this? You know what I'm saying? So I'll post a link to, if you have something in your town and you're interested in that, I'll post that. So Ben goes to Ron to sign the document he was talking about earlier, this point of sale, and he says, please sign it in cursive. It raises a lot of red flags when you don't. And Ron just says no, which I love that they brought that kind of as a callback. Ron asks Ben, what's going on with Leslie? What is she doing? And Ben doesn't answer him because he wants to remain neutral. He doesn't want to gossip behind her back or give away anything. But then Terry is asked and just immediately spills the beans. And I'm like, Terry, what the fuck, dude? I'm really mad at him in this moment. I always try to stick up for Terry, because I'm always like, come on, like everyone hates on him. But they're, like I said, we've talked about this before, where the writers do such a good job of making the audience go back and forth with whether they like him or not. Because I'm like, no, you cannot be doing this. Don't tell him anything. But he says it so matter-of-factly. He doesn't know that he's breaking a rule here, which he should. But Ron, this prompts Ron to be like, okay, if she's going for a hook / like celebrity endorsement, whatever, we should too. And so they're like, okay, let's do Annabelle Porter. Let's get her. And then this is where we get to the space for the cabin. But again, it's just a couple of like stones left, super vague outline of where the lodge was. And there's literal garbage there. She's like, this is garbage. Like literally there's old hamburgers right there. And Andy is like, oh my gosh, how old? And again, I love Andy's moment here when you always think he's going to like say something like, normal. And then goes off the deep end of being a child and just being like, how old are they? Cause I'll take them. And how could you also like confuse a dead possum with a wig? Come on, Andy, come on. Ew. And picking it up. Oh no. And this is where Bill suggests going to the Museum of William Henry Harrison to find more information to make more of a case for why this should be preserved. And I love that he volunteers there part-time. It's so great, that little character detail. Oh, perfect. Then we learn that a page was missing from the documents that Ben and Leslie signed. So now the signatures are invalid. Ugh. So the notary hell continues, this like third world purgatory or third space purgatory, I guess I should say. But he gets very serious. Terry gets very serious when he confirms like what Ben is asking him to do. Like Ben is like, can't you just say that the page was there? And I've never seen Terry get so serious. Like, no. I cannot. I signed an oath. I will never do that. And also, I have to say, oh my gosh, there is a little bit of a deleted scene here, and I really want to go ahead and play that for you right now. It might fit better in another spot, but it's regarding the notary. So let's just listen to it now.
Leslie? She hung up on me.
Come on now, Ben. There's no use in crying over spilt notary stamp ink. It's just a fun thing that us notaries say. It's pretty neat, huh?
No, Terry.
Oh, did somebody say no, Terry?
Ron and Leslie have been at each other's throats for months, and it's bumming me out. They're like the Trade Federation versus the Gungans in Star Wars, the prequels. Ugh, the worst. God, now I'm bummed out about the prequels, too.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I think it's perfect. And I love the no, Terry. Oh my gosh, who would think of that? Who would think of that? And I love how Ben gets frustrated about all of his fandom. You know what I mean? The prequels not being great, Game of Thrones, like certain things. Love that. Oh my gosh. So I thought that was worth sharing then. And yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later when they're in the car together too. All right, so now at the museum, they can't find a full museum. Like, they can't find things to fill the museum with enough stuff about William Henry Harrison. So they have kind of a filler of alternate world exhibits, like if he'd worn a coat exhibit, talking about how he would have been such a great president and what would have happened had he been the president and how it would have altered our timeline. And then other things that only lasted for a month. And the Chumbawamba song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to take me down. That's in the exhibit, which has nothing to do with William Henry Harrison, apart from the fact that they were both famous for a month. Oh my God, amazing. Or lasted a month. I don't know if famous is the right word. Okay, so this is another thing that I thought was very interesting. So I was like, there's no way that there's a museum for William Henry Harrison. Boy, was I wrong, okay? There are, in fact, museums dedicated to him, and the actual exterior of the museum that they show in Parks and Rec is, in fact, Grouseland in Vincennes, Indiana, where there is a museum for William Henry Harrison, okay? Known as the Premier William Henry Harrison Mansion and Museum, this is beautifully preserved 1804 federal-style estate, was his home while he served as the first governor of the Indiana Territory and a military commander. In fact, Grouseland is, in fact, the exterior shots they use. That is a real building, and there is a museum inside. The exhibits, I don't know, but I don't believe are super real. Of course, all of these like random stuff that they added in. There are pictures on the website of the beautiful architecture, how they recreated the rooms that would be set up. You know, there's beds in there and things like that. Similar to any kind of historical old house museum, if you've been to any of, you know, the recreated houses of olden times, older presidents, that kind of stuff. But it's not only Grouseland / his mansion museum that is dedicated to him. There's also the Harrison Sims Memorial Foundation Museum in Cleves, Ohio, located just outside Cincinnati. This museum is dedicated to local presidents and preserves artifacts belonging to Harrison. Now, this is not just for William Henry Harrison. The mansion is, but there are some artifacts from William Henry Harrison, which is wild. And then we've got his tomb. The William Henry Harrison Tomb State Memorial in North Bend, Ohio, located less than a mile from the Cleves Museum. The historic site features the final resting place of President Harrison and his wife, Anna. Wild. And then, I'm not done yet. Isn't that crazy? Okay. He has, it's not his, but the Berkeley Plantation is what it's called, in Charles City County, Virginia. Located in Virginia, near me, there's a historic birthplace of William Henry Harrison. Remember, I said he was born in Virginia, and we have that in common. The original estate houses a privately owned museum that is open to the public. I do want to look up how far away that is actually, because I'm really not sure. Let me see here. Okay, it's about 2 hours. It's about 2 hours from me, but still, that's not that far. And what's it called? The Berkeley Plantation? How far away is that exactly? Because I just looked up the county. Berkeley Plantation, Harrison Landing Road. Okay, it was an 18th century mansion and farm with tours. Okay, yeah, 2 hours. Closes at 4:30 today. I'm recording this on a Saturday. It looks very similar vibes, brick vibes to to the museum that Parks and Rec shows. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And okay, this is a little random, so skip ahead 30 seconds. But if you are in Virginia, I highly recommend visiting it. Well, where I'm from, the area, I highly recommend visiting Ferry Farm, which is George Washington's birthplace, and it's right on the Rappahannock River. It's very beautiful. And then I also love Mount Vernon, which is really cute. I haven't been to Monticello or Montpelier, I think you pronounce it like that, James Madison and Thomas Jefferson's place, since I was like really young. But those are really cute and cool too. I do believe that they are getting better at talking about the enslaved people, because at first it was just like, here's the house and here's everything that happened, without actually acknowledging the people that made the plantation and the estate run. You know what I'm saying? Hello? Like, we've got to start talking about that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they are getting better at posting that. I was actually quite shocked at the George Washington amount of information they had on the slaves, and the list and the roster of people and the actual names of the people who made the estate run, and how much they talked about Mary Washington, the mom of George Washington, and how she helped everything run, and how, so really, if you're in Virginia, in the area of like Fredericksburg, Virginia, Richmond, DC-ish kind of thing, you should definitely go there because it's really fun. And so I'll have to make a trip out to, I would prefer to go to his mansion in Indiana. So if I ever go to Indiana, that's where I'll go and not necessarily the plantation in Charles City County, Virginia, but maybe I'll go there too. Who knows? All right. Well, and if you guys have ever been there before, please let me know, because I would love to know. Or these Ohio museums. My gosh. Like, if you guys have been, please tell me. I would love some more information. And so William Henry Harrison was born in Virginia, but I wondered how long he lived there. And so I looked it up, and he lived in Virginia for 18 years. Then he relocated to the Northwest when he joined the military. So I didn't realize he basically grew up in Virginia. So that's interesting. But also, I talked about how he has some museums in Ohio and Indiana. And I was like, why are there artifacts and stuff in both of those states? And first of all, John Adams appointed him as the Northwest Territories delegate that represented Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and parts of Minnesota. So that's kind of like the Northwest Territories. So for his chronology, if you will, his career. So first he was the Northwest Territories delegate. Then after a dozen years of governor of the Indiana Territory, which is what this episode is about, Harrison rejoined the Army when the War of 1812 began. And then after he left the Army, he moved his family to Ohio to a farm there and became a state senator for Ohio, then elected to the U.S. House of Representatives for Ohio. And that's when he ran for presidency in 1836. And then John Tyler, the VP, took over when he died. And John Tyler was the first vice president to succeed a president that died. I mean, he was the first person to do that, the first vice president to do that. And so that is the chronological order of events for William Henry Harrison. And I thought that was really interesting. So, yeah, so he's got all the Northwest stuff going on, not just Indiana and Virginia, I guess. Okay, funny thing, on the deleted scenes, you can see it a little bit more, but you can sort of see it in the background where it's a sign at the museum that says open Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 to 2:30 p.m. So it's closed all other days, and it's only open from 11, 12, 12 1, 1 to 2, 3.5 hours for 2 days. Oh my God. Which again, I think was just a funny nod to how much this is not like populated and how many people probably don't come. The actual museum that they show on, the brick building, his actual mansion, is open 12 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday. Again, only 4 hours, but still they're open Tuesday through Saturdays. And that's pretty normal, I think, for these types of estates, So Amazing. Let's see. Oh, it's also $14 to get in. I mean, to be honest, $14 now doesn't sound as bad, but maybe back then in 2017, that was the equivalent of like 30 because the prices have doubled. So like, yeah, 30 to get into like this museum that doesn't really have much information at all, except for that tin ball. I think the tin ball is probably the most interesting thing. Which speaking of, oh, by the way, I laughed so loud at other Harrisons, like other famous Harrisons, and I love that they put Harrison forward because that's his first name, not his last. So that's perfect. Love that. I mean, we're just grasping, and that's the thing that I think Leslie and this Harrison Foundation have in common. They are both just grasping to make him a bigger deal than he was, especially as his presidency. During the governorship, I think it's a big deal, but yeah. So then we see this exhibit for the tin ball, and his supporters this is real. His supporters evidently rolled the ball down country lanes during the campaign, and people would come for miles just to see it. It was a whole spectacle. During the 1840 election, the Whig Party, WHIG Party, used massive promotional Whig balls, is what it was called. These spheres were roughly 10 feet in diameter, constructed of wood and steel ribs, covered with layers of heavy paper and tin. Supporters painted pro-Harrison slogans on the outside and physically pushed and rolled them hundreds of miles from town to town to rally voters. This unique campaign gimmick gave rise to the popular English idiom, "keep the ball rolling." What? This was real. I think this was where I started to be like, oh my gosh, these things are not just made up, that Parks people are like super smart and they come up with all these random things. Like this is, which they did for the storyline. But this tin ball, I would have totally thought that was just like a Parks thing that they made up. But no, this is like a real thing, which they're so good at doing. They're so good at, finding these real pockets of truth and just expanding on the comedy in them. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'll post a link to the website where I found the information about the tin ball. But oh my gosh, amazing. Keep the ball rolling. Wow. And yeah, Leslie, this is where we see Leslie really going, and we've been building on this, but this is where we really see Leslie going against a lot of her morals character. And so does Ron, by going quality over quantity, or quantity over quality. Yeah, she doesn't care about quality at all. She just wants it to be as many possible facts and things about Harrison as possible. And Ron just wants the quantity as well, the flash, the pomp, the circumstance, all that kind of stuff. They do not want their morals or their quality to show at all. They just need, and this is very indicative of how a lot of these bids are won. They just need the flash. They just need people talking about it. You know what I mean? And speaking of that, now we're at Bloosh, and I've always loved this scene, again, with Parks just like picking out real things and expanding on the comedy of it. So many things. They did this in the last Bloosh episode as well. She was polishing her oyster forks with a cage-free olive oil rub. Oh my God. Cage-free as in like chickens that were cage-free, not how are olives cage-free? What? That was so smart. She says this season we're intrigued by asymmetrical overalls, Angora toothbrushes, and locally sourced Italian flip-flops, which I love that they throw in these buzzwords of like local, Italian especially, cage-free, organic, like all that kind of stuff. Insane. I mean, how can it be local if it's Italian? I mean, they're not in Italy, are they? But like locally sourced, as in it was shipped from, oh my God, it's shipped from Italy, I'm guessing. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense, and it's lovely. And then this is where we learn about the cow milk, or beef milk, I should say, that Maddie mentioned in her summary. It's been squeezed through tiny holes in living cows. And I really feel like this is such an SNL sketch, honestly, like, and especially like building on what Maddie's comment too about like, how are you charging that much for this thing, is absolutely true. And the things that like what Ron is saying, like it's fucking milk, like that's milk. And I think that has been built on in a lot of sketches, actually, with how popular nut milks have become, like almond, cashew, whatever. I saw corn milk the other day, and it's not bad. I did try it. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just funny because now we're getting back to that, like, where some people didn't even know, like, the age has gotten to that point where like some people didn't even know that cow milk was a thing, ? Even though they definitely sell it. It's a real thing. Yeah, I remember goat milk being a big thing. But yeah, insane. Oh my gosh, it's fucking milk. Side note, Annabelle is played by Aaron Hayes, who now has a show called It's Not Like That with Scott Foley, whom I love. I love Scott Foley. He was Sean on Scrubs. If you guys watch Scrubs, he dates Elliot. Nobody cares, Sean. That guy. And he was also on Scandal. A lot of people know him from Scandal. He just recently was on Will Trent for the last couple seasons. He was so good on that. Dude is in everything. He's so good. But Erin has worked with Amy quite a bit, I think, slash some of this crew before. She was on, oh my gosh, We Came Together with Amy Poehler and Rudd. Oh my God, so funny. It makes total sense that she's cast as this. She does such a fantastic job. And the costume department did a great job as well with her, what she's wearing, her earrings, all the things. And I love, oh my God, the teat to table. I think that might be my favorite line. $60 a gallon. No. And there's a wait list. Oh my gosh. And again, this is just building on what Bloosh did last time, where it's like these normal chairs, these normal things, you're just charging okay, well, the chairs, since they're Ron's, they're not normal, they are quality, but like all the other things are just like not unnecessary things. And that's what that's what Tom and Donna love. It's like things, baby, things last forever, as one of Tom's favorite famous lines is. And you don't really like need these things at all, but because of the demand that other people want them, you know, it's spins and that snowballs. And yeah, it's a really good metaphor / commentary on where we are, like with consumerism and capitalism and all that. But Ben catches Ron to get his signature while they're at Bloosh. And damn it, Terry, oh my God, again, spilling the whole beans about the press conference that Leslie is setting up. And Ron was on the fence with getting Annabelle, even though he was meeting with her. He was going to think about it a little bit. And I think he was a little bit over it because he was like, that's fucking cow milk and I don't want to work with you. But now that he knows Leslie is doing something, he's like, okay, here we go. Counterattack again. Just get it. Just get him to sign. We don't need to discuss anything. We don't need to go to your fucking yurt to discuss the business. Just, you're good. We're done. I'll sign you on, essentially. No need to discuss. Annabelle is now the face of Grizzle. Then she says, shall we celebrate with aged grappa? Oh my God. And then she signs the paper that Ron was supposed to sign. What a mess. And also okay, Annabelle, you didn't even read this piece of paper. Is that how you do business? Maybe you're not so good at business at all, as Donna says. When she's like, this woman knows business. I'm like, you didn't even read anything about it. You didn't even ask your legal counsel or anyone. You just go ahead and sign the paper. And in, I guess, her defense, she's been talking to Ron, but still, you didn't even look at it. Oh my God. And she signs it in a marker. So it's like, oh my God, can you just get out of here? But I was curious what grappa is. It's a type of wine, right? What is it again? Aged grappa. Yeah, strong Italian spirit. Okay. It's like a brandy, but, yeah, so I've never tried it, actually, so I'd be interested to know. It looks like it's pretty decently priced, obviously, depending on how much you get or if you get a fancy brand. But anyway, okay, moving on. We've got, let's see, April asks if there's a museum curator position, but everyone here is a volunteer, so no, there's nothing that she can apply for. The Harrison bucks are just for the vending machine. That's how the volunteers get paid, which is hilarious. I think it would be funny if the vending machine didn't even work. That would be a really funny detail. You just have these Harrison bucks and the volunteers are just excited about it anyway. So Ben finds Leslie to sign this paper at the museum, and she says, just, you've legally bound yourself to me in marriage, so you have to tell me what he's up to. And Leslie, that doesn't mean professionally. We've got to have some boundaries here, but nope, she does not have any boundaries this season at all. Always putting Ben in hard spots, I feel. But when Leslie finds out there's a face for Grizzle, she's like, okay, I've got to do the same thing again. Quantity people. She needs a face for William Henry Harrison, and we learn that there's a distant relative that could work. It is not a direct descendant at all, even though she keeps saying direct descendant. It is not. It is not at all. But this is kind of, again, her grasping at straws. And Andy knows this guy, because he went to camp with him and he has a lot of embarrassing stories to tell, and no one would ride in the boat with this guy apparently at camp because he smelled. He had horrible BO. Then he went with the camp counselor and fell asleep and got a boner. Oh my God, what a terrible traumatic experience, I bet. Oh, that's awful. Oh man. But I guess, yeah, like we've been talking about these last couple episodes, Leslie is definitely like being honest. She's not lying. I feel like in the previous season, she was like in denial that she was steamrolling. And now she like fully is aware of what she's doing. She's like, quantity, people, Operation Quantity. I will make a mountain out of this molehill. So at least we got the honesty going for her. And now we're driving with Ben and Terry. And oh my gosh, Terry has broken Ben. I feel like he doesn't really usually break Ben. Ben's usually on his side. He's like gunning for him, being his friend and everything. But Ben just is over it. He's really hung up on all of the on this like hell that he's in, going back and forth. He just wants these fucking papers signed. And then you know, when you add in the frustration with the annoyance of like trying to be on for someone, he broke Ben. It's kind of funny to see. Not for Ben, but funny for us. Okay, so then we've got Andy making a list of all the things April likes, and he's going off on, you know, the deep end with all of these unnecessary details. He's like, I made a list, and that's when my leg fell asleep. And then finally, oh my gosh, we get to the end of the story, essentially. Basically, like Maddie said, in her summary, we get to the good part, and he says, we don't make a list of the things you love. We make a list of why you love them and find something that fits that list. And I love that. That's true, because that's cutting to the root of the passion. We talked about this last episode too, where I think April is not only looking for like what she loves necessarily, but she's looking for a purpose. And it's not, sometimes I don't feel like that's always the same thing, or they're not always mutually exclusive. Sometimes when you have a routine and a job that you feel like you're contributing to the world, it's not always like necessarily something that you like in love with, but it gives you purpose. It gives you reason to get up out of bed and to have a routine and have something that makes you keep going. And so I think that is a really good idea. You know, like if you do it, and it's nice when the enjoyment and the passion does coincide with that. So what is the thing that why does she like to do these certain things? And the one-on-one moment, I think the one-on-one comment that he has of like, you like doing things one-on-one with people. You don't really love big groups. And I think that's really interesting, because that's something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Whether that's, you know, a lot of work and corporate offices are like project based and you have to work with people, but a lot of people do better when they're on their own, or maybe you're only working with one or two people instead of a huge group of a conference room full of people. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. And it's a super special Andy and April moment here. It really is. And it's really special when they both try to help each other. And especially when Andy shows his intelligence to help April is very moving. So Zach Harrison is the descendant, and he comes in to talk to Leslie. I love this dude, and I knew I recognized him from somewhere, but I couldn't picture what it was. He is played by the actor Tim Baltz, and I remember him from Righteous Gemstones, which I haven't finished yet, but you guys, it's a fantastic show talking about like making fun of mega churches. And oh my gosh, so Zach Harrison, or Tim Baltz is this actor's name. Tim plays the fiance / boyfriend, I think eventual husband of one of the main gal characters. Which, by the way, that gal is so funny. Oh my gosh, she's so good. The whole thing is so good. Also, Adam Devine is in it, who is fantastic. We love him from Modern Family, and Workaholics and all these things. He plays this which, you know, another 6 Degrees of Separation. What's his face? The other grizzle guy, Mike Nutt, I think was his character name, is also in Workaholics. You know, the long-haired curly fella. So yeah, that's a little moment. It's such a funny combination though, to have this guy be like really timid and like, I don't know what you want from me kind of thing. But anyway, Tim has been in a bunch of things since then. On HBO, he's been in, I Love LA. Yeah, that new show on HBO. Shrink on Peacock, which I haven't seen. But I just like love seeing guest stars here and where they've gone since then. It's so funny and so cool to see. I love it. And to me, it sounds like Leslie didn't even really discuss this with him before the press conference. Like I don't know. It looks like she just told him to show up. I'll talk to you about like being a descendant and just like agree to this. And he didn't really even have time to say like, no, I'm really not interested. Or like, I think he thought he was just gonna go talk to her about it, not be in a press conference. Oh, yikes. Like, I don't know if he knew it was today, or if he did know it was today, he didn't know he would have to be a part of it. You know what I mean? But again, Leslie's just doing her thing, and he doesn't really care about William Henry Harrison at all. This is not the face that you want, or that you think it is, because he is not in the mood. He does not have the passion or the energy or the zest that Leslie has. Oh my God. And then he goes in, and Andy's like, Zach, Camp Wamapoke, oh my God, you got a boner. Andy thinks that's a nice way to like reintroduce yourself. And he's like, oh, we'll catch up. Oh my God. Andy's just definitely say what you feel, because to him it's not rude to bring that up. He's just like, that's how I know you, and you know me. We're friends, or we used to be friends. Like, yeah, cool. He's like, what a dick, because Zach's like not, responsive, or oh my God, that's so funny. All right, so then we see that Ron has decided to do a press conference right after her. Oof. And April says, do you want me to bite him? And again, yikes, I hate seeing this. Like, I really hate seeing the Parks people be on different sides of each other, and they have to choose sides. Like, April's on Leslie's side, April and Andy, and then we've got Tom and Donna with Ron, which I think was a really brilliant, I don't know if they did this on purpose really, but it was a really brilliant way to show and showcase how far apart they've drifted, that everyone is on different sides, and they're not really hanging out / keeping in touch as much, except for when they have these competitions. It's just really sad to see them all separated and not just Ron and Leslie, because that shows how deep it goes. And Donna is rightfully annoyed, and she brings it up. She's like, Ron, you didn't tell us this was an ambush. Like, and then, Tom is like, yeah, I that's not cool. I don't know what to do here. They're kind of all thinking of the same thing. And by all, I mean, Donna and Tom are both kind of shocked by this. Like, come on, man, that's not cool. This is not what we signed up for. But then Ron is really getting crappy in a way. I get kind of mad at him, where he yells at them basically and was like, please do your job. He uses the word please, but his tone is so shitty and stupid. Whatever. I hate it. So then this is funny too to me, that the press conference is in a hotel conference room and not at Parks, which I thought that was funny. Or because like usually the press conferences are in the press conference room at City Hall. But I guess they wanted to do like a whole presentation. So it's at the Pawnee Super Suites. Going back to Leslie's line, like, mama's going grasping. Like, that's kind of the whole thesis of this whole episode, if I'm being honest. Like, she is super grasping. None of the things that she says here are real, where she's talking about the hearth, which might have been there. And she's definitely taking some liberties here, like with things that aren't quite fully fleshed out. She's like, well, I mean, it could have been there. I'm sure it was, but it's still there. And again, we're doing quantity, not quality. So that is tracking for sure. And then she says, William Henry Harrison would have wanted this to be a national park. Okay. And the way that she justifies saying that is like, let's ask him. In the form of his direct descendant, Zach Harrison. And Zach Harrison does not help the case at all. He is not into it. And again, building on what we talked about before, that he's not really a direct descendant. But I mean, he has it in his bloodline, I suppose. But, oh God, he's like, and then I just love that he's like, I mean, Harrison's a pretty common name. And Leslie's like, nope, that's not going to work for, this case. So just, okay, go sit down now. Oh my God, that was so funny. He doesn't even say anything. And then we've got Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And then Van, and with him will be little Van. Van is Martin Van Buren. I love that Leslie is narrating this song. Oh my gosh, it's so funny while they're talking. This song is real, actually. Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Tippecanoe and Tyler too. That's a real song. They did not make that up. And it was kind of an anthem in the 1840s for the Whig Party. And the band is called Juggernauts. They are a real band, which is really cool. I couldn't find a ton of information on them, so if you guys know them, please let me know, because they're a real Minnesota-based band. Juggernauts, come forward, please. I would like to talk to you. Come here. Where are you? Yeah, I couldn't find much information on that, but the actual song itself is so cool. It was originally published, cool in the sense that it's real, and I learned something new. Tip and Tie is a campaign song of the Whig Party's log cabin campaign in the 1840 United States presidential election. Its lyrics sang the praises of Whig candidate William Henry Harrison, the hero of Tippecanoe, and John Tyler, while denigrating incumbent Democratic President Martin Van Buren, or Little Van. Folk music critic Erwin Silber wrote that the song firmly established the power of singing as a campaign device in the United States, and that this and the other songs of 1840 represent a great divide in the development of American campaign music. The North American Review at the time even remarked that the song was in the political canvas of 1840 what the Marseillaise was to the French Revolution, and it sang Harrison into the presidents. That's crazy. Into the presidency. Did I pronounce that right too? Marseillaise. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But anyway, today the slogan Tippecanoe and Tyler too is better remembered than the song among Americans. People know the phrase Tippecanoe more than they do the actual song. What is Tippecanoe? Okay, Tippecanoe is a specific river in Indiana, and it's a historical term that also refers to the 1811 Battle of Tippecanoe in Indiana. It's also a nickname for William Henry Harrison. Okay, so that's what that means. Okay. So Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So Tippecanoe is Harrison and Tyler is John Tyler. Okay. I understand. Okay. Love that we're all learning together. And yeah. All right. I also needed to understand the Whig Party. The Whig Party was a major political party in the United States during the antebellum era of the 1830s and 1850s, formed by Henry Clay and Daniel Webster to oppose President Andrew Jackson. The party derived its name from the British anti-monarchists to mock Jackson's perceived abuses of executive power. So they believed that the Congress, rather than the president, should dictate national policy. They supported federal intervention in the economy through protective tariff, a national bank, and federal subsidies for internal improvements like roads, canals, bridges. They also favored modernization, Protestant evangelical reform, temperance, and public education. They were highly competitive with the Democratic Party, and they won 2 presidential elections with war heroes. However, the party lacked ideological consensus outside of its opposition to Jackson. Like, that was the main thing that they held on to, which makes sense. Andrew Jackson was stupid. The party ultimately fractured and collapsed in the mid-1850s over the expansion of slavery into new Western territories. The Northern Whigs helped form the new Republican Party, and the Southern Whigs defected to the Democrats or joined the Know Nothing Party. Now, I know that that is probably way more scratching the surface than anything else, but that's really interesting. So the Republican Party, and people have said this before when I've listened to political podcasts or learned, Republican and Democrats weren't really a thing back in the 1800s. That was something that, we evolved into. So that's really interesting to learn about the Whigs. And I'll post those links in the show notes if anyone's interested in reading them. Okay, so then we talk about the tin ball, and this is where the jug band is happening, and this is just like so weird. My face was Andy's while all of this was happening, and Leslie was trying to hold on to, the quantity. I was like, this is weird. Like, this just does not feel like I even know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And why, like, where have we gone? Like, we've lost the plot. And then it ends, and kind of ends. There's like a pause, and the walls open to reveal Grizzle's presentation, and it's everything that Leslie's is not. It's sparkly, it's loud, it's also everything Ron hates too. Not only opposite to Leslie, but opposite to Ron. And this evil competition is really bringing out such shitty sides of themselves, and they are getting further and further away from who they were, their relationship. Not only their relationship is what I'm trying to say, but also from their core beliefs, and that's what anger and hurt does. It changes you. It makes you do things that you don't really mean all the time. And Tom's right. I mean, in a way, when Tom has his little moment at the presentation where he says, that's the past and this is the future. You know what I mean? Leslie's is the past, and why are we listening to some grandpa? You know what I mean? So it's a total opposition for the press to see and make their decision on. Oh my God, Somebody's Daughter Dancers. I love that name. Oh my God, so fun. The ones that were listed on IMDb are Sophie Cook and Tia Robinson as the dancers. Sophie is the one on the far left, I believe, and Tia is right next to her on Sophie's right, I believe. They didn't really show the dancers too much because it was so fast, and the cameras were obviously more on Annabelle and the other parts of the presentation, but still, it was really cool to look them up. I did reach out to them because their agents are listed. We'll see if they message back. I don't know, but it would be super fun to hear about, like, how they got the part. Did they have to dance off in the audition or just kind of send in a reel of them dancing? I'd be so interested, because it's not like they did like super intense choreography or anything. It was like step touch and like swing your head around kind of vibes. But still, I mean, some people can't do that, and they were great. So I would love to hear more about that. And also Tia is from Fairfax, which is close to where I am from in Virginia. So that's super fun. So Tia is also from where William Henry Harrison was born. They've both done a ton of work as actors and dancers. Tia was on Glee and Sophie was on CSI Vegas, like a ton of things they've both done. And it says that Sophie was also one of Genuine's dancers in Parks. So that's really cool that they brought back the dancers. And that's kind of something that I would love to learn more about, like if they called her back because they knew that, or if she had to like audition again or whatever. So, I mean, I would think that they would just call her back, but you never know. Oh my gosh. And then this is where Annabelle is so good at, again, doing the whole consumerism bullshit buzzwords of technology, fresh, innovative, disposable duvets. Oh my God. What? Disposable duvets? No. I hate this. As we binge watch the future. Oh my gosh. Gross. And it reminded me of a couple things. Number one, it reminded me of The Office. When Jim is trying to be Ryan's character for the pyramid thing, the new phone or whatever from Sabre. And then it also reminded me of 30 Rock when Steve Martin's character is like arrested for being I think it's like tax evasion or something like this. And it's like you learned that all the commercials, you never really actually knew what he was selling. It was like oil, America, or something. And so that's how he avoided, like, you know, whatever forms he had to fill out and tax evasion, whatever. Anyway, so Leslie confronts Ron and says that that was all flash and no substance and everything that you're against. And to a point, I mean, he's right that hers wasn't really any better. Neither of them had substance, you know? And then Ben finally catches them both. And yeah, he's in a notary hell. Before he says the purgatory thing, I was like, oh, this is like Groundhog Day. That's that's what they're going to use as a metaphor. But no, his metaphor was that he's in hell and he's a ghost now and no one can hear him because he hasn't finished his completed business. He's like he's like Scrooge or whatever the hell. All right, so now, again, we've got Leslie hurling insults, Ron's hurling insults, and here we go again with the cake situation, too. Like, Leslie, Ben is dying over here. Just sign the papers. Just, like, step aside for, like, 5 seconds. But, you know, she did it once, and now I think she's done. You know, she signed the papers once, and that's enough for her, even though it wasn't good enough. So I think that she's reached her breaking point now, and especially now that she's seen Ron's presentation, she's like, no, I'm not doing anything with him. Like, even if we're on opposing teams and it's not like we, you know, are doing anything, quote, together, I'm not being near him. You know what I mean? It's not even about the forms, you know? And again, Leslie is saying stupid mustache, stupid shirt. Why does he keep bringing up Morningstar too? Like, she specifically says she doesn't want to hear that word. But again, that's why he brings it up, because that's something that he knows irks her. So, and this fight is bad. Like, it makes me so sad. I hate this so much. Like, I had a visceral reaction here when they're fighting like this, because this is the first time we've really seen them get a little bit deeper than the norm. Like, it was comedic in the first episodes where it's like, ugh, I hate Ron, I hate his stupid face, whatever, you're a butt face. Like, it was very childish. And now it's gotten to the point, I think, at this level where we really see them, it's deeper, and mom and dad are fighting and we don't know how to save them, and it's just like really sucky to be there watching the fight happen, and like you can't do anything to stop it. And oh my God. And I'm like, oh, just get along for the kids, please. That's what it reminded me of, where like their mom and dad and all the other Parks people and Ben are the kids. And it's just like, can you just like come together for your children, like, please, or for your friends or something? Like, you don't have to be best friends, but like, you need to stop this. And then Ron says, oh my God, the bomb, you're not that good at scrapbooking. Oh my God. Can't believe that happened. And that hits her where it hurts. Okay. She's like, what? Knife to the chest. So, I hate this scene. I mean, I love this scene because I hate it. You know what I mean? Like, it really makes me have a reaction. It's so good. So then we get to the tag where it shows that we're at Pawnee Super Sweets. They're talking all about this like terrible feud. And then they have the whole Shailene Woodley, Morgan Freeman thing, which I believe was also a prediction. I don't think that actually happened. Did that actually happen? I think that was another prediction. But I love that he's I love that Donna's like, it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. So clearly Morgan Freeman and Shailene Woodley had some serious beef in this prediction of 2017. Okay. Anyhow, so they're talking about how terrible this feud is. And Ben says it's like the triplets, except Ben can't just give them stuffed animals to calm down. And then he's like, well, wait, have we tried that? Could we do that? I mean, honestly, you might as well try something. I mean, could that work? Terry finally is coherent enough and says that they are very different people. Like, I don't think they hate each other. I just think they're very different people. And they started drifting apart once they stopped working in the same office, which gives them a great idea. Maybe that could happen. I love when TV shows do this, where you get one line and you're like, what's that line going to spark later on? So Terry makes up a tiny bit for his stupid notary shit, but also, like, in a way, Terry kind of started this. If Terry hadn't said or spilled the beans on what each other was doing, we would not be in this deep, deep fight. Although maybe it had to get there because that's how you solve things. Sometimes things have to burn before they grow. I get it. But Terry, why? You need to think before you speak a tiny bit, okay? I love Terry very much. I'm very proud of him for his notary accomplishments. But Terry, get it together. So then when we do get this line that he has, it gives a little bit of we get a little bit of a reprieve, if you will. But I'm like, oh my God, Terry, you started all of this. Not really, though. I get it. Ron and Leslie need to get their shit together. It's true. Okay. Ben checks on Leslie back at City Hall, and Leslie ordered 60 veggie pizzas to Ron's office. Love that. Then Ben finally gets Leslie to agree to sign, which is a semi-trick, because Ben's like, can you please just sign this? And now that you're calm, let's just do it. They go into City. I don't know why Leslie would think that they go to the Parks Department, because why would Ron be there? But whatever, it doesn't matter. They both get them in there, and Ben opens the door. Leslie rushes in, and Ben shuts the door behind them. And Ron is in there as well. And I do love this part of the new tech that Ben scans his key card. They didn't have a key card before, so I do like that. I appreciate that. That did happen for the new tech predictions. They force them to make peace, or they try to force them to make peace. And then they start screaming, and we get a to be continued. We've never gotten a to be continued. Oh my gosh. I love that they both scream at the same time, and then it just cuts. That's fantastic. I looked it up to see if we've gotten a to be continued before, and it said you could consider the cliffhanger at the end of season 6 to be, a to be continued. But I don't think that's the same, because I don't think it said the actual words to be continued on the end card. You know what I mean? So on the screen. So I don't know. This might be our first one. I'm not really sure. But I did want to also play a deleted scene for you guys that it has been circulating. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but where Leslie says she really needs some help to make this William Henry Harrison thing work. And oh my gosh, I'll just play it for you really fast.
I have been stressing about my Newport land proposal. I think we need to find a way to sex it up.
I don't know what could be sexier than the intricacies of federal land purchases.
I know you're joking, but that actually does turn me on. The Newports aren't going to just donate this land. We're going to have to sweeten the deal. Just like tonight. I am sneaking broccoli into the mac and cheese so the children don't know that they're eating vegetables. That's what parenting is all about. Helping your children through lies.
Well, not just your children.
Hmm?
I've been sneaking vegetables into your waffles for years now, since way before we were married.
What?
Haven't you ever wondered why your syrup had seeds in it?
You said they were maple seeds.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
I have literally never been angrier at anyone in my life. Walk away, Wyatt.
Okay, but
Walk away! Children, attack your father!
No!
Oh my God, it's so cute. Actually, the ending part is really cute, but Leslie has the crazy eyes when she says, I've never been so mad at anyone in my entire life or whatever. And then he's like, walk away. Or she says, walk away. And he tries to kind of step forward and be like, no, it's totally fine. It's not a big deal. And then he's like, walk away. And then he bumps into a chair. That's the big noise you heard. And yeah, it's really cute. And I get why they cut it, but the kids running after him is really precious and funny. And just is so cute to see Ben be a dad, because we don't really see that too much, I feel, and so if you're a super fan, I highly recommend watching that deleted scene just to watch it. And it was really cute too, because Adam Scott, you can kind of tell bends back a little slower so that the kids don't like pummel him, you know what I mean? And I know that's like a BTS whatever in the weeds thing, but I think it's really cute to see. But yeah, oh my God, can you imagine? Yeah, if I was Leslie too and been betrayed like that, but I mean, she's doing the same thing to the kids, so don't be hypocritical, Leslie. Oh my gosh. Well, that was my last notes on William Henry Harrison. I feel like I learned so much about the Whig Party, why William Henry Harrison is called Tippecanoe, and the fact that he even is called Tippecanoe at all, the fact that that museum is real, that exterior building is not just a stock photo, that is a real museum in Indiana, Vincennes, if you'd like to go, and that there's many places that you can go visit William Henry Harrison artifacts and history in both Ohio, Virginia, and Indiana. Wild. Amazing. I hope that Ron and Leslie really get their shit together because we really need it. And I am in a really hard place. I'm having trauma from as a divorced child to see Ron and Leslie like this. It's really bad. Okay. Someone needs to figure it out. And that's what we'll get next episode. Thank you guys so much again. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and hope you have a great weekend. We are rounding this out. And very grateful to the writers for writing about William Henry Harrison. You'll learn something new every day. Oh, and rest in peace, Gary Knox Bennett. Well done, sir. We salute you. Bye, everybody.
There's a Parkinson Pals and there's also therapy too.